Welcome to the masterclass, your first investment, becoming the woman who actually does it. So first off, we're going to get started with what has actually stopped you from starting it at the moment. What is it? Is it fear? Is it, I don't know where to start? Is it risk of losing it all? Is it someone else does that in the family? Someone else manages it? Someone else does it? What are the different things that come up for you? And if you're watching live, yay. And if you're watching the replay, I would still love to hear from you under the live. And if you're watching the replay, even somewhere where you can't even comment underneath, just write it down. What has stopped you from starting? Okay. Sorry, just closing the window. And so I think, for me, when I think about this and where my journey started, what actually stopped me from starting was the waiting game. It was this waiting game. Waiting until I had more. Waiting until someone told me what to do. Waiting. And it was just like this constant waiting game. And what I realized is that it didn't really matter how much I learnt, how much I did, what I looked at, what I tried to get involved with. The behavior of actually doing it never actually came to life. And I wonder if you can resonate that with, like, how many of you have known pretty much for since you were 18 or started learning anything about money, that you know that you need to start investing, you need to start early, you know that it needs time. Like, we logically know all these things, right? And then it was like this situation where I was like, I logically know this. I know that I'm meant to get started. I know that I'm meant, but there's still something that's stopping me. And if you can relate to that, I get it, because I had the exact same thing too. And so why this happens is because so often in our world, we focus on the problem, we focus on the strategy, we focus on the money problem, we focus on the strategy, like what is going wrong, and we try to fix. And we might do budgets and spreadsheets and listen to podcasts or download this or do a course. And what I figured out to be true is it's actually not a money problem. Not a strategy problem. It's an identity problem. You have a money identity, and that money identity is made up of how you think and how you feel. And how you think and how you feel equals the behaviors that you do. And I started to realize of this, and I'm like, well, how am I thinking is my reality? And then how I'm feeling in my body is actually giving me more information than any spreadsheet or budget or financial literacy ever will. So let's just look at this. So the thoughts, I don't know enough yet. It's too complicated. I'll start when I have more. That's for people who already have it sorted. These are the kind of thoughts that we're having. Then we go into emotions. So the emotion that stops her hand before she even starts. Do you know what I mean? Or the anxiety of getting it wrong, the shame of not having started sooner, and the fear that she'll lose it all. This is where most people sabotage. These thoughts and these feelings actually result in the behavior. Knowing you should, but finding every reason not to. This is what I talked about at the start. Researching, but never doing. Saving the podcast, but not acting on it. Having the app, but not, download it, but never actually opening it. And, what I started to realize is I was like, let me just get rid of this thing, is I was like, we have a problem here. We have a problem where we're so focused on the behaviors and the strategy and what we're doing. And there's a whole other world around how we think and how we feel. And so I'm going to kickstart this masterclass just on that now. And I've definitely got some practical takeaways towards the end. We're going to do a bit of financial literacy, but I'm telling you, there's a good chance if you're on this masterclass, it's like you already know you should be doing it. So why haven't you? That's what we're gonna get into. Good evening, Freya. Good evening. So let's get started with fact or feeling. This is where we're going to start. And we're going to get into the literacy stuff later, because this is more important. I don't know enough. It's risky. I might lose it all. When you say these things, or whatever your thing is, whatever your favorite flavor is, and you can share it or not share it, whatever the thing is that you're currently telling yourself, I want you just to sit with it for a second and go, wait up, is this fact or is this just a feeling? Because thoughts actually cause feelings. I want you to think of the most beautiful person in your life and you just love them so much and you want to give them a big cuddle, or maybe it's a fur baby. Has everyone got that smooshy feeling in themselves right now? All you did was think. You thought of that person and that situation. So thoughts create feelings in our body. And we have good thoughts that equal good feelings, and we have bad thoughts that equal bad feelings, if we were to just make it really basic. So you need to ask yourself, where did that come from? I don't know enough. Where did that actually come from? Is that an actual fact, or is that just a thought that's causing a yucky feeling in the body? Sit with it for a bit. And then once you realize that majority of the time, I would say 99% of the time, it is a feeling, it's not actually a fact. I don't know enough. It's not a fact. It's risky. It's not a fact. Yeah, I might lose it all. It's not a fact. These are all thoughts that have caused bad feelings for you. I want you to ask yourself, what is the next smallest possible, bleh, what is the smallest possible next step? Yeah. Freya says, fact or feeling? I love that. What a great question to ask yourself. So what does this mean by the next possible sports step? We may have these perceived ideas from personal development, whatever we're seeing online, that we need to have these affirmations that help us feel empowered. We need to say things like, I am wealthy, I am abundant, and I am waving my red flag. I'm waving my big giant red flag at this. Because if you're currently feeling like I don't know enough, and then all of a sudden you need to jump all the way to I am abundant, how many of you can totally resonate with being told that you need to do this in a law of attraction style, manifestation style, and you've got to act as if you've got to be the thing that you want. You've got to say it, you've got to repeat it, you've got to do it over and over again. And yet you say the thing and then you go, no, I'm not. I am wealthy, but I'm not. I'm abundant, but I'm not. Wealth comes easily to me, but it doesn't. It's all easy and effortless, but it's not. We've got this yes, because I did the exact same thing. And so we may be in this thing where we're doing these things, but we're not really believing it. It's like, it's a fucking lie. I know I'm meant to be doing this. I know I'm meant to be saying I'm a person that invests, but I don't. I'm confident in investing, but I'm not. I'm an investor, but I'm not. Are we getting how this just doesn't work? So what's the smallest possible next step? I can learn this. Oh, I can get on board with that. I can change this about myself. This gets to be different. We need to move from current thought that is less than ideal, rather than jumping all the way to I am rich. We need to build a bridge. We need to get from one side of the river to the other. We need to build a bridge. And so what is a thought that you can get on board with? That you in your head and your heart, you go, you know what? Actually, I can get on board with this. I am wealthy. That's not resonating with me right now. But I can learn about wealth. I can learn about investing. I'm interested. I'm open. These are thoughts that we can get on board with. So that is your very first task, okay? Fact or feeling, and then what is the smallest possible next step? The thought doesn't change because you decided it should, right? It changes because you act before it is comfortable. So now we're going to look at the emotions. So we're going through the money identity very, 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 very quickly. I got a whole entire course that covers your whole entire money identity, right? We're just doing a micro masterclass tonight. So what emotion comes up when you think about investing? What's there? Is it a tightness? Is it a sick kind of feeling in the stomach? Is it, in here, like actually tuning to your body and where in your body is it coming up and what does it feel like? For some people, it's shame. For some people, it's guilt. For some people, it's just fear about it. So what we need to do is we need to build the capacity to actually do it. Just going straight away to the investing app and going da 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 da, you would have done that by now. You wouldn't be on this masterclass if we didn't have thoughts and feelings and an identity issue. So the very first thing is we're going to acknowledge it. Now, this is something that happens a lot in this world, is we're kind of trained in the masculine frame, the masculine paradigm to fix, fix, fix. We have a problem, fix it. What's going on, fix it. This is how I feel, fix it. I shouldn't feel like this. I should be more grateful. I should feel more confident. I shouldn't feel this feeling around the money. And I'm actually going to challenge that because that's a very masculine frame. And what we do in the money identity, especially when it comes to emotions, we don't fix emotions. We heal them. We heal our money wounds. We heal our money blocks. And so the very first way to do that is to stop putting patches on top of it, stop freezing the emotion and actually sit with it and go, oh, wow, this is actually genuinely how I'm feeling right now. And I'm just going to sit in it. Now, do you have permission to sit in it for weeks and months on end? Absolutely not. But I do notice that I don't really attract those kind of women. I attract the women that will completely ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, bury it down to the depths of the unknown in their backs. Anyone got a sore back? Yeah. Anyone got sore hips, sore back? What are you burying down there? Most of the women in my world are not victim mentalities. They're not sitting in this I am sad, mad, bad for weeks on end. It's they experience it and go, I shouldn't feel like that. I should feel better. Quick, 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 quick. Freeze it, freeze it, freeze it. Push it down, push it down, push it down. Oh, I was sore back, got sore shoulders. So we need to acknowledge it and actually allow it to process in us. And then start to realize that this is a pattern. This is my nervous system flagging the unfamiliar or a past story. It's all it is. When you can actually get your head around this and actually start practicing it, it is really enlightening because you start to realize that the way you think and the way you feel is just a program. It's just a pattern. It's not set in stone. You don't always have to feel like this. There are other ways that you can reprogram your mind and your body and your nervous system. It's actually really exciting. And a really great way to get started with this is imagination. It is the one thing that makes us different from the animal world. We have this ability to creatively think, to have imagination, to have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind that thinks about thinking, right? And one of those uniqueness that we have as a human is the ability to imagine. And so when you feel the feels of like, oh, this is making me feel, oh, it's giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to look at it. I'm scared of it. It's risky. Like whatever the feelings are that's going on for you, first acknowledge it, flag it, mentally go, hey, this is just a neuro reaction happening in my body. And then we get to use our imagination on what is possible. And sit there and imagine yourself being different. Imagine yourself the woman that handles it differently, that doesn't spiral, that doesn't get the emotions, that doesn't flutter. Just go into imagination. That is investing. That starts managing her money, that starts looking at her money, that is opening her spreadsheets on a Friday or on a Sunday or at the end of the month, and start using your creativeness, your imagination that you've got there to start rebuilding another story. Now, this is very, very beginner, very, very kind of like this is somewhere where we can start now in this micro masterclass. So you don't need to feel confident to start. You need to feel the discomfort and do it anyway. That's what builds a new baseline. So you can have new thoughts about, I'm building on my confidence. I'm building on my confidence. Hi, Charlene. Welcome, welcome. Go back and watch the first bit just so you can catch up. I'm building on my confidence. I'm learning to be confident with investing. I'm going to start researching this just slowly. And when you feel the discomfort, that is not a sign that this isn't for you. I think there's a bit of a misinformation about when it's not a full F yes. then it's not right for you, because when you actually understand how the brain and the nervous system work together to get a full body FES when it's not something that your body has experienced, it's a little bit impossible to do that. I think I covered that in the last masterclass. But when you push through the discomfort and you do it anyway, the nervous system, the brain fires together, creates new neurons. You get a little bit of plasticity, and it goes, oh, this is what we're doing now. And so, before when I said it's just the system firing off the same thing, it's just going to keep firing off that same thing because that's all it knows. And as soon as you give it a new thought, a new feeling, a new imagination, and a new action, it goes, whoa, what's this? Which is why you feel discomfort. And so at what point can you just go, this is normal, this is natural, this is growth, this is me leaning into what I want to do, and that's what builds a new baseline. So I know for sure the absolute biggest block for everyone, well, not everyone, most people that I work with, is when I make more money, then I'll start. And usually I ask this question in the context of everything, but today it's just in the context of investing. When I get a pay rise, then I'll start investing. When I'm managing my money better, then I'll start investing. When I make more, how would I start investing when there's not even anything left over at the end of the week for me, let alone to invest? I've seen this time and time and time again, and I can absolutely promise you that it is just a program. It is just the way you're thinking. It is just the way you're feeling. I have women in my world that have absolutely no increase in pay, no increase in sales or anything like that, and they manage their money better. They change their thoughts, they change their emotions, and now they are doing the thing. No strategy. Nothing changed strategically except for actually looking at their money. It is wild. So I know this is a block for a lot of you. And so even just the simple little things that we've done today, taking the first step, will help this get into motion. So now let's look at a few. Let's start with some education. So we've done a little bit on thoughts, let's start with some basic education. So when we start looking at the investing world, there's two big things that pop up. And the very first one is inflation. And I want to explain this to you because I didn't realize this either. So every year the cost of living comes up. Now that might be something that you're experiencing right now. I know definitely I am, being on the road, experiencing fuel right now. Very expensive. So basically what inflation is, it's the dollar sitting in your account is worth a little less. So for example, if something cost $100 today and inflation runs at an average of 3%, in 10 years, that same thing will cost $1.34. Now inflation is higher than that at the moment. Your savings account is probably earning 1% to 2%. And yes, you might have one of those savings accounts where if you tick all the box, you get the bonus and you get a 5%. And this is just a season. When you're looking at money, you've really got to zoom out and look at the whole, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, not just a season of where we are right now. So if inflation is running at 3% to 4% and your savings account is on average at 1% to 2% because you've taken it out here, there, and you didn't get the bonus and all of that sort of stuff, you're actually going backwards. So if you ever hear someone say money sitting in the blank is actually just reducing, and you might think to yourself, how? Like, why would that? It's because of inflation. If you've got $10,000 sitting in the bank and it's just sitting there doing nothing, earning the interest, if you were to map that across all the years, that money will actually be worth less. Okay, so if you ever hear the word inflation, that's what it means. So that's why you'll hear a lot of people say, have your safety buffers and invest the rest. Have your cash that you need and invest the rest. So because if you've just got absolutely all of it in your savings account, then inflation is a real thing. So now we want to look at compounding. So what is compounding in a very, very simple form? Compounding is simply this. Your money earns a return. And then that earns a return on a return. And then that earns a return on a return. And then that Hallmark earns a return. And it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. An example, $100 a month, starting at 25 versus 35. Okay. By the time you're 65, and these are just like very generalized numbers on an average return, if you started $100 a month at age 25, you'd have roughly 350K. The exact same amount at 35 is 170. So it's almost double, and all that's different is 10 years because of compounding, because of how compounding works. Now, if you're over 25 or if you're over 35, does that mean it's too late to start? Absolutely not. The thing is compounding needs the most out of absolutely everything. It needs time, not necessarily a lot of money. It needs time. The only way to give it time is to start today, not when you feel ready, not when the timing is perfect, and not when you have more. Today. So when I learnt about inflation, and then I learnt about compounding, and then I had this massive wake up call with my dad, having this real moment of like, don't work your fucking ass off and have nothing to show for it. And I started learning all this. I was like, okay, so can I start with $5? It almost seems laughable, but I did. You don't need a lot to start. The smallest consistent action beats the perfect large one. Every time. $5 a week. It's literally my story. $5 a week. It's all I could do. It's all I thought I could do. Because what you're actually doing is you're training your nervous system. Remember I said at the start, what's one small possible step? Everyone thinks that they need $1,000 or $10,000 for it to even be achievable. And you know what? I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. To be honest, when I first started this, it was kind of sad because like I'd log in and I'd be like, woohoo, I've invested $55. Or like, woohoo, I've invested $280. And honestly, it felt pretty freaking pointless. But something happened. I started to go deeper on this. I started to heal more blocks. I started to learn about the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings. I started to manage my money better. I started allocating better. I started to set goals. I actually want to invest more of my money. I'm going to add more. Let's get $10 and then $40 and then $50 and then $100 and then $200. And then wait up, I want to do more than just this one thing, and discovering different wealth buckets and being like, oh, I want to get into crypto, and I want to have, I want to do investing in ETFs and stuff like that. And so, and it just grew. And this is honestly, like, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but this is kind of like how Mrs. Martin was created, because I just took these micro little steps, and it taught my nervous system, this is safe. I can do this. It doesn't matter what my background is. It doesn't matter that I don't have a good money mindset. It doesn't matter that I have no wealth in my lineage. I'm actually here to break it. So what can you invest in? Now, this is very, very, very basic. I'm just going to cover a few things. So the main things that you can invest in are stocks. So buying a small, and sorry, back on the $5 a week, how that's possible is micro investing. So back when I started, there wasn't really many options available, and that was micro investing. So you can search that up on Google. And what's happened now is lots of the big guys have cottoned on to this micro investing and how many people do it. So back in the day, it used to actually be, you could only invest if you had $10,000 or if you had $1,000. I was on like beta shares just before this masterclass, and you can get started with as little as $10. So I think all of them are kind of doing it now. But what can you actually invest in? How do you take advantage of this compounding? How do you actually get started? Well, you could get started with stocks. So stocks is buying a small piece of an individual company. So you might say, I love Amazon. I want to buy Amazon stocks. I love my iPhone. I really want to buy Apple stocks. That's how kind of all of this started. And then this thing came along called ETFs, and that's called an exchange traded fund. And what happened here, and this is probably the most popular thing right now. This is the most popular thing. And what an ETF is, it's a basket of many stocks all bundled into one. So instead of you sitting down and being like, well, how am I going to choose between maybe you like tech, but you also like commodities, like you also like gold, or maybe you want this, but you and like you've got $100. How are you going to do this amount for Telstra and this amount for Amazon and this amount for Apple or this amount for whatever the thing is there? So they created this thing called ETFs, and you can actually invest into a bundle in one. And so I just got the top one. So for example, the top so they've got a code, and I'm not going into this today. Like, if you want to, this is where the money method goes way deeper into all of this sort of stuff. I'm just giving you some top level things that you can start pondering and start researching yourself. But in Australia, we have Vanguard, and there is an ETF called VAS, VAS. So every ETF has a code, and every stock has a code. And look at it. So rather than you going and choosing just one of those companies, you go, okay, I have $100 and I'm going to put it into VAS, the ETF. You're getting a little snippet of Commonwealth Bank, BHP, Westpac, NAB, ANZ. These are all like, what, you've got Woodside there. You're getting a little piece of every single one of those companies. How cool is that? And then I went and looked at BetaShares as well. So the code for this one is BGBL. This is a bigger one. So this is a global one. So you go $100 and I'm going to buy this BGBL. I'm going to invest into this BGBL. You're getting exposure to NVIDIA. If you don't know what NVIDIA is, it pretty much powers everything, the devices that we're all on right now. NVIDIA is like the tech, the what's it called, the chip in a lot of the processes that we use, things that we use. So NVIDIA is a very, very popular stock. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, I forgot to say Meta. So rather than you sitting there and going, okay, which stock am I going to buy? And you could definitely still buy stocks. Like, you could definitely go, no, I just want to buy Meta. Maybe you love Facebook and Instagram and you just want to buy that. Or maybe you just want to buy Amazon. You go, okay, I'm going to do an ETF. And when you go to these, websites, so you go to any of the investing platforms like Vanguard or BetaShares and iShares, like all of those different platforms, they make it so easy. You can search by industry. You can be like tech or energy or materials, or and you can just start looking and what are all the companies that are in it. Like, I was looking at one today and it was like Asian tech, and I was like, that's interesting. And there's also one in there that's like crypto innovators. So these are really popular basic ways that people get started, and the companies are really making it so easy to get started now with such minimal amount. It's, if you're still thinking you need like heaps of money to get started investing, those days are gone. The other one, and I totally forgot to add a slide, the other one was an alternative is things like crypto. So crypto is a whole kettle of fish. Yes, personally, I do invest in it. It is one of the wealth buckets that I've chosen to invest in, along with ETFs as well. And I am not covering it on today's lesson. I do have other material on that if you're interested in crypto. It's kind of like if you're interested in it, message me. Commodities, so raw materials, so it's gold and silver, oil, copper, wheat, iron, even things like coffee, which is a small. So if you go, I really want to invest in gold, you can buy gold, and you don't have to actually go out and buy the gold billion itself. You can just invest. And you know what's also cool is commodities have ETFs. So you could be like, I want to invest in all the top oil companies in the world, if that was your flavor, right? And then we've got property. So the thing with property is the value of what you own increases over time. And then the real power is a thing called equity. So as the value goes up and your loan goes down because you're paying it up, you've got a gap in between. And it's the difference between what your property's worth and what you owe. And so if you buy at a time where, and then property has skyrocketed like it has right now, you are probably experiencing like your loan might be down and your value of your house might be up. So you have a gap, and that is where the power is, because that gap becomes a tool that you can use to build further, because then you've got equity and you've got an amount sitting there that you can then go to the banks to say, I've got equity to make your next move. So property is definitely the longest game of them all and requires the most capital to get started. And I think most people in Australia know about property, but property's big, right? It rewards patience more than any other vehicle. And it's like We're talking a lot of money when it comes to property. And if you are interested in property, but you don't want to actually buy the physical house, you can invest in REITs. Is that what they're called? RITS. I don't know if I had that, but it's similar to kind of like the ETFs where you invest in the property sector without actually buying a house. So the most expensive thing is waiting. Yeah, it's not a bad decision. It's not starting small. It's actually waiting. Time is the only thing in this game that you can't get back when it comes to investing. So you don't need to know everything. You just need to know enough to take one step. Because if you just take one step, like what happened with me, it was just one step, $5 a week into a micro investing app. It just grew from there, ladies. Like it does. You get a passion for it. You get excited for it. It becomes a real thing that you actually start to love and acknowledge, especially once you clean up your money wounds, heal your emotional blocks, do all of the work, and learn financial literacy. It's actually quite beautiful. So, in summary, I realize this has gone longer than half an hour and I had a lot to say on investing. So, in summary, I'll go back through the comments in a second. First, fact or feeling? Fact or feeling? What is the smallest possible next step I can do? Remember, the nervous system is flagging. We go, oh, and you actually sit and go, wait, this is just a pattern. I get to use my imagination to create a new story for myself. We talked about inflation and compounding, so hopefully now those two financial terms make sense to you. We talked about the different investments, the stocks, the ETFs, talked a little bit about commodities and crypto and property. They're the main ones kind of floating around there right now. And the most expensive habit is waiting. So this was the first step. There's only so much I can cover in half an hour, okay? This is the very first step. And so what I help women do is I help them with the whole entire staircase. And so most women do not have a strategy problem. Honestly, most people don't. They have an identity problem, emotional blocks, and were never taught financial literacy. And so many women are so hard on themselves. I don't know this. I've shame, guilt, grief, like whatever it is around money. But so much of it is because of the identity that we're currently holding, the emotional blocks, and the fact that we were never taught it. They don't want us knowing this in school. They want to keep us broke, keep us spending, keep us in the cycle of spending. Yeah. And so the staircase, this masterclass was the very first step. The window opens. You're here. This is your first rep. Congratulations. For those of you that know me well, hello. For those of you who are just experiencing me for the first time, I love that you are here. And I love that you are here for this topic. And so the next step is where we start to look into money management. We look at our savings and our systems. We start thinking about how we're building our future. We define our financial freedom number and we actually define our wealth buckets. When you choose, this is what I am as an individual and in my family, I've consulted my family and this is what we are going to invest in. We've decided on property. Oh, we've decided on crypto like Luke and I have. We've decided on putting more money into our super. We've decided on investing into these stocks or this ETF. We've decided in this high risk thing that is a MLM, blockchain, decentralization, like whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, your wealth buckets. All the while, these steps, we bounce backwards and forwards. We're kind of doing like the step dance on these two. All the while, we're breaking limiting beliefs. We're releasing money blocks. We're healing the money story that someone planted in you. We're getting clarity and we're getting confidence, and we are actually building a legacy for generational wealth. And then we go up the stairs again. So we get clarity, we get confidence, we get a legacy. And this is where we get to break generational cycles. This is where we look at our lineage and go, wealth's never been in our lineage. And we get to be the woman that stands at the top of the staircase and goes, I'm doing this for me and my family. And the final step is the woman that has it all sorted. She has the strategy, the identity, self-trust, and she's operating on the frequency of more. So this is the staircase and all of this is available to you. This is my world. This is my world. This is exactly what I do. I help women go up the staircase and do all of this. And so if you're on this masterclass, I would like to let you know about the money method, which is a simple system to spend smarter, save more, and invest wisely. It'll help you ascend the staircase. So just quickly, who the money method is for. It's for women who want to be the CEO of their money and manage it with confidence. They want to know their numbers and move with clarity. They want to invest, so they want to go further into this. They want to know who, what, when, how, what to do it, not what to invest in, because I'm not a financial advisor, and build wealth on their own terms. They want to fully trust themselves with money. That self-trust, that frequency of more, creating a legacy, creating something that is just completely different to what they've had now. It's a complete rewire of your whole entire money identity. I have a whole landing page with everything that's in it, and I'm not going through that now on this masterclass. It's got endless testimonials, video testimonials, print screen testimonials, Google, like Facebook testimonials of all of the women who have been through this program with me. And I just wanted to share this one because when I read this, I thought it just so beautifully sums up my existence, if that makes sense. So this is Beck. I started the course as a complete avoider, deeply stuck in scarcity, barely living paycheck to paycheck, and convinced that things like investing were for rich people and not on my timeline. The money method not only taught me my numbers, it did something profoundly deeper. It rewired my relationship with money at its roots. I now look at my finances with curiosity, confidence, and ownership. I manage my money like a kind, loving, kick-ass boss. I'm actively educating myself about investing, something I never believed was possible for me, and I speak openly about it. And then I underline this bit because this course broke generational cycles in my family. We talk about money freely now. This is such a big thing and it's on my heart. And just jumping straight down to the bottom, I feel confident with my money and my financial future has fundamentally changed. I credit myself for choosing to learn what I was never taught and for taking the risk at a time that I had little money. And I credit Mrs. Martin and the Money Method for making it all feel accessible, empowering, and deeply human. Oh, every single time I read that, it's just everything. So the Money Method is a 6-month program. The intake happens on the 1st of the month. Because you've been on this masterclass, you have a 30% off voucher coupon code. You just use the code MASTER. So take a photo of that, scan it, and it'll open up into the page where you can read all about it. Down at the bottom, you can type in the word MASTER, M-A-S-T-E-R, and get 30% off. That's the pay in full and the payment price. And for now, yay, I'm going to take a quick second to scroll back through the live comments. When I think of investing, I'm excited. In the past, the story I told myself was I couldn't afford it. And then I said I didn't know enough. And so it was a great shift to let that go. Let's find out what I need to know and get started. Perfect. Narelle, ha ha ha, that's me. I guess that's in relation to what I was talking about before. And Gay, that's the reason in the past I didn't invest, as you need a minimum of $2,000, which I never had spare. Yes. And see, this is what's so fascinating is we don't even bother to try and find out extra information. We just assume that's what it always is. And so that's where we get to really be and that's what I did, because I was like, surely I can get started, and I went researching. And when I started with the micro investing, like that wasn't even a popular platform all the way back then. So yeah, I love this. Thank you so much for showing up live. If you're watching the replay, please comment replay. And if you're watching this in a masterclass vault or somewhere on YouTube or in the back end on one of my things, message me, DM me, what did you take away from this masterclass, and are you going to get started investing? If you're interested in ascending the staircase with me and joining the Money Method, I would love to hear from you. Maybe you want to chat, just DM me, we can jump on a call, we can see if it's right for you, or you can sign up directly. The intake is on the 1st of the month, so soon. Big love to you all. Thank you so much for coming to this. The next masterclass will be announced soon. Bye, 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 bye.